If there's a question, yo, I'll solve it. Ask Miller Corner and let me resolve it. It's the best intro I've ever done. Hello you lot, Miller Corner here, welcome back once again, and once again it's time for a Q&A. Thinking about it, it's actually been a while since I've done a Q&A, so I got a decent amount of questions, starting with Instagram. First up, K_Ramji_1320, that's a mouthful, asks what's happening to the Super Seicento. Right now, this very second, it's on the driveway actually, so with any luck, nothing's happening to it. In a more broad aspect, I'm guessing you mean what are the plans for it? Many things are the answer to that. We're going to carry on with the interior build in the very near future. There's things coming with that. I'm ordering parts, getting things sorted out, stuff like that. There's some suspension things to do. There's some brake stuff to do. And then there will be some more power related mods to come. But I'm going to keep all that very quiet because, yeah, I don't want to tell my wallet yet what plans I've got. FFO2_ asks, do you think of getting new wheels for the Super Seicento? I'm getting a feeling that a few of you don't like the Proline VX100s that I've got fitted, because I do actually get that fairly often that people don't like the wheels that I've got on the Super Seicento. Well, unfortunately for you, it's my car and I like them, so no, they're not going anywhere. Tom Ridley 1905 asks, are you coming to Auto Italia Brooklands 2020? Honestly, I don't know. I've got a lot of work going on at the weekends around that time, and I may not be in a position to make the trip to Brooklands depending on what I'm doing, where I'm based, and what's going on with my car situation. If I can, I will, but you'll find out a bit nearer the time whether that's concrete or not. Fedez266 asks, how old were you when you learned to drive? I was 17. The day I turned 17, I got my first driving lessons booked, got my theory test booked, started boning up on all the general knowledge, everything like that. I passed in early June the year after I was 17, because I was 17 in the October, and yeah, that wasn't all that quick, but I did pass with only one minor, and frankly, you can't ask better than that. N6_Herb asks, will you make car reviews a more frequent thing on the channel? I really enjoyed your Hubnut Deum Matiz video. I'd love to, actually. There are a lot of cars that I'd love to review on the channel that I'd be interested to drive and review, and I'm sure you'd be interested to watch. So if anyone's based in the Cambridgeshire area or the East Sussex area, they have a car that they'd like to see on the channel, they'd be willing to let me drive and review, and obviously if you want to appear in the video, I'd love to get you on camera as well. Do get in touch. You can either private message me on Instagram or through the Miller Corner Facebook page. I'd love to get more car reviews on, and let's be honest, now I'm doing it for a job. It'd be good to get some practice in. Glenell_Vape simply says, Guten Tag. Guten Tag, my friend. Pauline Hot 1971 asks, what's your go-to tea and or biscuit when you're working on cars? Just to be clear, no sponsorship deals going on for what I'm about to say. My favourite tea is Yorkshire. You just can't beat a Yorkshire tea. Oh, so good, so rich, really flavoursome. I do love Yorkshire tea, and as much as I can, I do drink it. Biscuit-wise, I don't tend to do biscuits when working on cars. Because your hands are all greasy and stuff, it's bad enough to handle a mug, let alone a biscuit. Probably a digestive, because you can dunk it, warm tea, digestive dunked in. Oh, there's nothing better. Najdinov12 asks, what are your thoughts on the old Fiat Bravo? I've never driven one, but I'm a Fiat man through and through. The Bravo is a little bit different to a Focus or a Golf, and on that basis, it's a thumbs up from me. Starlay Bowler asks, can you do a full list of the mods you've done to the Seicento and how much they've cost? No. For my own mental stability, I do not want to add up how much I've spent on that car, quite frankly. Wobby_ asks, where did you get the headlights for your Seicento, and are they legal in Germany? They were actually custom built for me by my mate Seb, and if you check out the video Building My Dream Seicento, which I'll link on the thing up there, or there, or wherever YouTube does the links these days, you'll be able to see them built from start to finish with raw components and a full list of things you'll need. As for whether they're legal in Germany or not, I simply don't know, I'm afraid. I haven't actually had them on since going through Germany, but I can vouch for the fact that they are legal in the UK and they did pass a UK MOT. Next up, a question from my girlfriend who asks, what would be your dream two-car garage? And in brackets, you know the correct answer. I absolutely do. It's of course a Mercedes SLK and an Abarth Punto. Harley _Mayor_ asks, what would your dream 5-car garage be? And there'd better be a Triumph Herald in there. Well, Harley, sorry to say, my friend, never driven a Triumph Herald, so I can't vouch for whether I want one in my garage or not, but I will say yours is looking damn cool. I'm going to go with the first 5 that come to the top of my head because they say that your first answers are probably the ones that your gut feeling is true to. Citroen DS, post 1964 facelift. Alfa Romeo Giulietta Spider, Lancia Delta Integrale Evoluzione 2, the Super Seicento, and a new chimney. There you go, there's my 5. Dino.Stepankic asks, will you dyno the Super Seicento and will you swap to an aftermarket ECU? I'm probably not going to dyno it in its current form, to be honest. I can roughly estimate what the car's making. Where it is right now, I don't really care how much power it's making. It's fun to drive and it's a butt dyno car more than a numbers dyno car. As a naturally aspirated 1.2, there's not much to gain from an aftermarket ECU, but for some things that may or may not be coming in the future, yeah, we might have some aftermarket computer action going on. 1.4 Seicento, brilliant name by the way, asks what tasty mods are coming to the Super Seicento. I've kind of done this one before in the video, so you probably saw that bit before. More interior stuff, suspension stuff, brakes, and then more power. Everything, basically, there's a lot to do. This next question was asked by someone whose name got cut off on Instagram. I can read as far as postcards of the hero. Can't go any further than that, but thank you for asking anyway. How did you come across the Seicento? If you're meaning the second shell for the Super Seicento that I reshelled the car into, I found it on Gumtree, I think. It was just kind of a fairly local ad. It was about an hour's drive away. Picked it up from a nice chap, totally bone stock, drove it home, and the rest is history. As for the original one, my parents actually sourced it, and I'm told that was through Gumtree as well. So Gumtree and Seicentos for me seem to have some synergy. Lewis_Mackland asks, what will your next car be? I wish life was that predictable. I've got a fairly good idea what it will be, and in fact I may or may not have put an offer in on what I'd like my next car to be, but I'm still waiting to see if it'll be accepted yet. So if it is, you'll see the car. If not, no bloody clue. Project_Pedlica asks, do you think a 1.4 swap in a Seicento is cost effective? What I can say is that given that you get nearly double the factory power and the relatively low outlay to do that, particularly on an SPI Seicento or a Cinquecento, yeah, I'd say it is cost effective. And if you've got either of those two cars, go for it. If you've got an MPI car, it's not quite so easy, as I've been discovering. In fact, there's quite a lot of wiring and mounting and fiddling and farting about that means whilst it might still be cost effective, it's probably not time effective. Christoph Coxer asks, you say you love Italian cars and yet you've never owned an Alfa Romeo. Having driven a few Alfa Romeos now, the love for them has, if anything, grown. I've driven a Giulietta Spider from 1956, wonderful car. I've driven a GTV Twin Spark, albeit very briefly, and that was lovely. And my editor has got a Series 4 Spider that I've driven, and that was really, really nice actually. So yes, there's something about Alfas that is just, yeah, nice. I haven't owned an Alfa yet for various space, money, and necessity related reasons. Really, I just haven't needed to buy another car, but sometime in the future, an Alfa Romeo will feature in my life. You can be sure of that. Next, we're on to Facebook. So if you're not already, go and follow facebook.com/Miller Corner for plenty more regular updates on what's going on with the channel. For now though, what we're getting are some questions. The first one is from Art Spicer, who asks, where did the idea for the Super Seicento stripe come from and why doesn't it carry on over the car? Well, to be honest with you, the idea for the stripe actually came from on Mighty Car Mods a few years back. Moog had that black and red stripe on his Honda S2000 and I thought that looked really, really cool. I slightly tweaked it a bit and I thought that grey would go nicely with the yellow, and at the time I had planned to put grey wheels on it anyway, so I thought twinning it with the wheel colour scheme would be really nice, and frankly I liked it so much it will forever remain on that car. It doesn't continue over the car because I'm not a huge fan of stripes that continue over the whole car. Sorry, I know that's a bit blasphemous to Shelby fans, but not really a fan. Art Spicer also asks, are we going to see some more guest cars on the channel at some point? Which I guess links back to the question earlier about doing more reviews. The short answer is that I haven't got any YouTuber collaborations planned in the short term, but there is a car that I may potentially get to do a video on in the next couple of weeks. And if it does, of course, it'll be on the channel, so stay tuned for it. Next up, it's Cody Dagley, my man from Canada. How you doing, dude? He's asked 7 different questions. Now, normally, I would say that's cheating and deny you, but frankly, they're all really good questions. So you you get a bonus pass on this one. First up, he asks if you could import any JDM K car, classic or otherwise, what would it be? It would either have to be a Suzuki Cappuccino, because tiny turbocharged 3-cylinder K sports car, why would you not? Or a Honda Beat, for much the same reason. What's your favourite type of engine, and along with that, favourite number of cylinders? I have to say I do like a Boxer, although I'm primarily thinking of Subaru Imprezas here, because a Boxer engine, the torque, the noise, the smoothness, just lovely, lovely, lovely. Favourite number of cylinders? I'm going to go with 3, I think, because the amount of cars I've driven with 3-cylinder engines that just sound incredible. It's just brilliant. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're inherently harsh, they're quite unrefined, and you do have to cane the hell out of them to get them to go anywhere, but 3 pots are awesome, so shout out to you guys with the odd numbers of cylinders. Top 5 favourite vehicle brands, and that includes motorcycles and commercial vehicles if you so wish. Fiat, obviously. Alfa Romeo, obviously. Citroen, because I do like Hydro Citroen. Rover, because I'm just a bit of a Rover addict as of late. And I'm going to go with Mazda, actually, because Mazda always seem to be doing something just a little bit different to the mainstream, and for that, frankly, I applaud them. Favourite period for vehicles? The 1990s. Some of my favourite cars came out of the 1990s. The Seicento, the Peugeot 106, the Mark II MX-5, the Citroen Xantia. So many awesome cars came out of the 1990s, and I think for me, that was peak car in the 90s, where cars were advanced enough to be usable and still be relatively modern, but not so advanced that they got too technological and too electronic and too self-sufficient for their own good. If I could import any North American vehicle, classic or otherwise, what would it be? Easy one. Cadillac Type 56 Coupe de Ville. Oh, that for me is when America truly made the best cars in the world. I've written about them a few times, and that car for me is genuinely a dream car, because it's the same kind of level of luxury and grandeur and brilliant engineering that you got from Rolls-Royce and Bentley at the time, but without that kind of stuck-up, holier-than-thou aura that you got from British luxury cars. Cats or dogs? Dogs. Every time. What tool in your arsenal do you find far more useful than you would have thought? Interesting question, my friend. I'm going to go with the air-powered ratchet. We've only used it a handful of times, and you probably won't have seen it on camera too much, because most of the time you don't need it. But it's a brilliant thing. You get loads of torque, you can access stuff quite easily with it, and it means you're not just thrashing your body trying to undo really tight bolts. They're not really necessary, and they are quite expensive, but the air-powered ratchet is a treat when you're working on cars. David Jenkins asks, what's the best car I've ever driven? Depends on your definition of best. If it's the one I like the most, it's going to come down to either the Citroen ID or the Alfa Giulietta Spider. If it comes down to objectively the best, technically probably just a Golf, but that's not really exciting, so Phil Bull asks, how long would you like Miller Corner to keep going? Slightly ominous there, Phil. Never when I started this channel did I imagine that it would have been going this long, to be honest. The fact that I've got around 5,000 people from all over the world that watch an idiot with a little yellow Fiat prance around, do videos about cars and modifying, it's incredible. And all while you keep watching, I'll keep making them. So, don't go anywhere, will you? Phil McCann asks, would you ever own a Michael Schumacher edition, Seicento? If I came across a really, really, really tidy one for a decent price, maybe. But the fact of the matter is, as an owner of an extensively modified Seicento, the Schumacher just doesn't make any sense. Unfortunately, speculators seem to think that they're worth money, which at the moment, they're not. Sam Digweed asks, what would you do to the Seicento if money was no object? It's kind of an interesting one, that, because there's nothing I would do if money was no object that I'm not in the process of already doing. There's not one thing that I think, oh, I can't do that because I can't afford it. The way I build the car is that I save up until I have the money to do something that I want. I don't just go, oh, well, I can only afford that right now, so I'll buy that. So, nothing really. Ed Hooper asks, would you ever put a 1.4 or 1.2 16 valve or even T-Jet the Super Seicento? Yeah, I would. Finally, Toby Smith asks, I noticed there's been a renaissance in everyday cars being more loved as classics of late. Do you think it's something to do with the general low survival rate of cars from the 80s and 90s, because a lot of them were so throwaway until recently? I think that's part of it. I think that definitely contributes to it. Cars like Citroen Saxo VTSs, when 10 or 12 years ago you buy one for 500 quid, you'd rag the crap out of it, and if you crashed it or you blew it up, you threw it away, and the numbers dropped. Now they're a nostalgic classic and numbers are going up in terms of values. That's certainly part of it. I think it's more nostalgia, as with so many classics, and frankly you can rewind further back to get an idea of that. Not many people dreamed of owning a 1.3 litre Mark 1 Escort, but now you need 8, 10, 12 grand to buy one. It comes down to what you're nostalgic about, and that's one of the reasons why people buy certain cars as classics. Just because it doesn't mean anything to the automotive industry and it's not widely loved, doesn't mean it can't still be a classic in its own right. We actually had a discussion about this on our YouTube channel at work, in fact. I'm going to link that video, which is not on the Middle Corner channel, but it's on my work channel, which is Classics World. But we basically discussed what is a true classic car, and the general conclusion we came to was interesting. So those are your questions answered. A massive thank you to everyone on Facebook and on Instagram who contacted me with your questions for this video, and I really hope I've given you some decent answers for them. Service as usual will resume from next week, but as a quick aside before we do, check this out. Seicento mouse mat. How cool is that? Anyway, thanks for watching everybody, and have a good one.